introduction, and thank you for giving me the honor of speaking to you on behalf of Steve Cooley, who I sincerely hope is going to be our next Attorney General. I am a Deputy District Attorney, but I'm not here in any official capacity on behalf of the office. I'm here as a friend of Steve Cooley to talk to you, because Steve can't be here today, because Steve is running himself ragged, chasing around this state, getting to know people who don't know him as well as you do. Now, can I just see a show of hands here? How many people know who Steve Cooley is? Maybe I should have said how many people don't know who Steve Cooley is. Yeah. Steve has been a close friend of mine for over 10 years now. I've been with the office for 13 years, coming into my 14th year now, and he's been the DA for 10 of those years. And I believe that with your help, we can make Steve Cooley our next Attorney General and make a big strike at stopping the Democrats from driving this state further into ruin. And you people hold the key to that happening. This movement, the Tea Party movement, is the most exciting and frightening thing in American politics right now to the Democrats. They are afraid of you. You have the power, as you always have, because we are the people. When I try cases in a court, what it says on the caption at the top is the people of the state of California against the criminal that committed the crime. And I've been able, for more than 10 years, well, 13 years now, to do my job. At 10 of those years, I've been able to do my job because of what Steve Cooley has done to make our office the most efficient, the premier prosecutorial agency in this state and the biggest in the nation. You know, we're here, and Nancy gave me the guidelines, we're here to talk about the positives, about the candidates, and not about the negatives of the opponents. But I can't help it, I've got to say something here. Kamala Harris, her conviction rate in felony trials is 55%. The national average for major cities is 89%. Her performance as San Francisco's district attorney has been abysmal. And it's no wonder she calls herself the female Obama, because she's about as effective as San Francisco's DA as our president is in the White House. Okay. You know, some of you might be wondering why on earth is an Englishman speaking to you at the Tea Party. Why was 30? I don't know. I was expecting tea and cucumber sandwich. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Of course, I am an Englishman. And like the early immigrants who fled the rule of a despotic king, I left England because it was going to rack and ruin in the hands of the liberals. We've seen a great country ruined by a lack of direction and a need to be nice to everyone and have no guts and no leadership. My boss has those guts. He has that leadership. He has time and time again succeeded where others have failed. Let me tell you a little bit about his successes. Any of you here know Deputy David March or heard the name? Okay. By the way, I should add that in my 13 years with the DA's office, the best 2 years I ever had were up in the Antelope Mountain. I think this is God's own country, and you are so lucky to live up here and not the madness that I have to deal with in the city of Los Angeles. I know every now and again some of our little miscreants creep up the 405, and you know what, you've got the sheriff's department to deal with them, you are so lucky. Anyway, I was going to tell you about David March, and Deputy David March, who was killed by an illegal alien gang member who fled back to Mexico and was protected by the Mexican government. And George Bush was the president at the time. George Bush, God bless him, didn't want to get involved. He didn't want to get involved in that. But one man did, and that was Steve Cooley. Steve Cooley, the DA of LA County, dealt with the Mexican authorities, and 2 painstaking years of negotiation resulted in the Mexican government putting pressure on their Supreme Court, changing their policy, and finally allowing murderers no safe quarter in Mexico. We get them back. We don't get to kill them, but we put them in prison for the rest of their lives. Talk a little bit about DNA. 1 minute? Okay. DNA. You know, we just made history in LA County. We cracked a 20-year-old serial murder case by using what's called familial DNA. And it was my boss who created a DNA unit to develop new prosecutorial and investigative procedures so that we now can bring to justice a man who has murdered people, 8 I believe it is, and would otherwise go undetected. What we can't do just for right now is fix the even more appalling fact that the city of Los Angeles is going to continue to pay this joker disability while he sits on death row. But that's something else. What else has Steve done? Probably the best thing, at least for me, was encouraging me to run for the office of city attorney for Los Angeles. And he did that at a time when he had already endorsed Carmen Nuch-Rutanich. Anyone here heard of Nuch? Okay, great city attorney. The city of Los Angeles has to thank Steve Cooley for encouraging Carmen Nuch-Rutanich to run for city attorney, because he is changing the way politics is being conducted in that city. See, Rutanich and Cooley have one thing in common. They are prosecutors, they're not politicians. And that's what we need in Sacramento. So with your help, we can get this thing done. I am going to be here to answer questions after my allotted time ends. I'll be delighted to do that, because anytime I get to talk about the best boss I've ever had, it's a pleasure for me. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, David. And I just wanted to mention that John and Barbara March are in attendance today, and they are the parents of David March, who was killed by the illegal immigrant.
I don't want to say his name, obviously I know it, because it doesn't need repeating here. No. But thank you for your support, and I really feel for your loss.
Okay, so a question is, one of the duties of the Attorney General is to defend and uphold the laws of California. In November 2008, we the voters passed Prop 8 proclaiming marriage to be between a man and a woman only. However, because he didn't agree with it, our current AG, Jerry Brown, who's also running for governor, not only refused to defend Prop 8 in its recent court challenge, but he was aggressively urging the court to allow gay marriage in the interim. Can the AG pick and choose which laws to enforce, and what is Mr. Cooley's position on this?
Okay, I thought you had some hard questions for me. Boy, Jerry Brown, there's a character, isn't it? You know, they were just playing some of his old recordings, you know, from the days back when Jerry Brown won, and I was astounded to hear him say that he was against job creation in California because he thought we already had enough jobs, and what we should be doing is taking care of people who don't have jobs. That was Brown 1. We don't want Brown 2, but let's return to the question. Prop 8. You know what? The people have spoken. The people spoke. They voted for a proposition that the California Supreme Court said is lawful on its face. It's not unconstitutional. It's not like Prop 187 that we had to deal with. So because the people have spoken, the Attorney General's job is to give voice to the people. And that is Steve Cooley's position. And I can tell you something else in all candor. If it was the other way around, okay, if the people of California voted in favor of this, against Prop 8, that was a vote, he'd have to do it, because that's what the lawman does. You vote people like these folks over here to make the policy. Okay? Steve Cooley upholds the law. It's what he's done for 35 years as a career prosecutor, and that's why we need him to continue to do it. You guys vote the people to make the laws for us. We'll take care of the rest.
Okay, the second question was, if Steve Cooley is elected as Attorney General, will he join in the other states that are fighting the healthcare mandate?
You know, it's clear that healthcare is a hot button issue. I would love to have a system that would provide affordable healthcare to everybody who deserves it. Right now, my assignment in the office, I'm in the fraud interdiction program, which deals with Medicare fraud and workers' comp fraud. I have a case that exceeds $40 million worth of fraud by a couple of Russians who employed some deadbeat doctors to bilk our federal funds out of Medicare in 9 months. That's how fast the money's bleeding. And that was 3 years ago. Can you imagine what it's going to be like under this new plan? I mean, you know, the answer to the question was, how does Steve Cooley feel about Obamacare? And I think the answer is very clear. He would support the challenge to its applicability in our state. But of course, he's the Attorney General. It's up to the legislature to take some action. And that's so important for us to take the House back and put an end to it, to kill it dead by not funding it. That's the key to this vote. And that's why it's so important that we have your support, not just for Steve Cooley, but for all the candidates, because together we can make some change. Now, I have one favor to ask of you on behalf of Steve before I leave, and I'll be over there to answer your questions. As I said, Steve is out there stomping the ground between, where is he, Sacramento, Shasta, and down to San Diego. He's running himself ragged, but it was important for him that he was represented up here. So I would like you, I know you've got a camera on me, I've got a camera on you folks. So could I ask you all to just give Steve Cooley a wave and tell him you're going to vote for him? Thank you very much.